Good morning, guys. Welcome into the live severe weather discussion on this Friday. The big day is here. Good morning. I'm going to allow folks a couple of minutes to pile on into the live stream. I've got this scheduled for 9, but I figured we'd hop on a couple of minutes early, give folks a chance to come in, and then we'll get through the discussion. I'll tell you what is likely going to go down as we go into this afternoon. There's been some new developments, especially looking at the data this morning. In terms of what could go down here, we're now looking at possibly 2 rounds of storms instead of just 1. So I'm going to go through that, but let's give folks a couple of minutes to kind of get in here, and then we will get started. Let me know audio levels if you can hear me. Looks like you have audio levels, so that should be the case. If not, let me know, and we'll see what we can do about that. But we'll give folks just another minute to come on in. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. It's going to be a long day for all the meteorologists here in the Quad Cities, that's for sure. My plan is I'm going to take a little bit of a break for the 11, head home, get Cooper walked, maybe take a quick little cat nap, and then come back and help James Sahara and Morgan Strackbein with some coverage this afternoon. We are going to have crews all over the place. Of course, the Beast is going to be out. Meteorologist Morgan Strackbein will be in that, along with Josh Lamberty. And the driver as well. So we got 3 people in the Beast today, which is perfect because it's one of those more advanced risk days. So the more people we have in there with eyes on the road, on the radar, on the maps, the better. We're also going to have reporters established throughout the Quad Cities region and just kind of sheltering in place, if you will. That way, as soon as the damage occurs, we can get to that spot very quickly. So that's our plan of attack for today. Your plan of attack should be making sure you've got your cell phone on, ready to go. Do you have the alerts enabled? Not only just the News 8 app alerts, but also the wireless emergency alerts. Those need to be enabled. And make sure you have a place to shelter. That's going to be the thing that gets you through today. Again, the more informed you are, the less storm anxiety you're going to have, right? If you have that plan ready to go, there's nothing to worry about. You're safe, you're ready, and we're going to get through this today. So that is for sure. That's the plan. It is 9 o'clock and some 30 seconds after the top of the hour. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do this. Try not to go any longer than 20 minutes because we're going to do a little newsroom briefing that I got to get to. But we were able to do that yesterday without a problem. So let's just go ahead and we'll get started here, and then I'll get to your questions once we get towards the end. So you guys have probably already felt it outside this morning. It's warm. It's humid. You've got that kind of soupy feeling to the air. The moisture is quickly increasing. When we started GMQC, we had dew points in the 40s, and now they're racing through the 50s. We're already in the 60s, too. So we've got that some of the dynamics and some of the ingredients already at play here, and that will continue to build as we get into the afternoon. So I want to take you to the regional. Good morning. I want to take you to the regional radar and satellite loop just to show you a couple of the scenarios that we have going on right now. So this is what has changed compared to yesterday. We have round 1, which is taking off just south of Kansas City. That, if it expands any further, is what's going to be round number 1 for us out of 2. And that's mainly going to be an impact for our Illinois hometowns because you notice if we do the loop here that it is heading pretty much due northeast. So that's really going to bypass Iowa. But it could involve hitting some of our Illinois hometowns, and that would be just after lunchtime, so 1 to 3 p.m. We're going to watch that. If that does not expand, what it does is it leaves more storm energy for what comes through here later tonight with round number 2. That has not developed yet. Round number 2 is what takes place as we go into Iowa, where you're seeing that storm energy build. Those are where some supercell thunderstorms are going to be taking off after the 2-3 o'clock hour and then quickly racing to the northeast. So again, scenario number 1, round number 1 is not a guarantee. There's only one model, and that's the rapid refresh model that's only giving us that round. Our in-house wasn't too excited about it. I'll show you that here in a second, but certainly is worth watching. So that's why I've moved up our timetable now to the 1 to 7 o'clock hour. It's no longer 3 to 7. I moved it up a couple of hours. So we're doing the YouTube live now. I'm going to skip that. Notice there's been a change in the threat, though. It's now been connected, so let me zoom that back out. This significant risk, it's a level 4 out of 5, now extends from the Quad Cities all the way down through Memphis and parts of Arkansas and parts of Mississippi. So a big-time severe weather outbreak is expected today, not only here in the Quad Cities, but further to the south. There's been no change in the location of the significant risk, the 4 out of 5. It still includes all of us here in the Quad Cities, both sides of the river. Every single county in our coverage area is included in this risk. And what that means is widespread severe storms are likely. The tornado risk has not changed either. That is still in the very likely category, where you're seeing the circles, which is everyone here in News 8 country anyway, is where we have the possibility of a strong tornado or two that could potentially be what we call long tracked, meaning it stays on the ground for a significant period of time. I'll highlight where I think that potential is going to be best realized here as we go through this graphic. This is our future track tornado potential. So we're taking a couple of different parameters, throwing them together and seeing where that best potential for a tornado is going to be. Now, as we get into the early afternoon, you're seeing that potential build south and west of the Quad Cities. Yes, that is counting on that complex of storms that was south of Kansas City racing northeastward and expanding. And there is the real possibility that this first round will indeed also have a tornadic threat with it, in addition to a threat for damaging winds. So it's going to work, the threat it is anyway for tornadoes is going to work its way from southwest to northeast as we go through the early afternoon. Then as that next round of storms comes in this evening, it's going to once again focus on Quad Cities and points to the east as we get into Illinois. So if you're along and south of Interstate 80 now, this is different than yesterday, along and south of Interstate 80, that's where I think the better potential for a tornado will be, given the dynamics that are in that location. And that goes for both sides of the river, south of I-80, Iowa, and Illinois, the better dynamics to get that tornado potential going. Let's go to the damaging wind threat. You're noticing that's almost maximized out. It's a significant risk, and it's for everyone. And I'm going to have to update my graphic because now it's not 70 miles per hour, it's actually 75 miles per hour plus winds are going to be possible with these storms. I'm going to show you why that's the case here in a second, a really cool graphic with an explanation for that. But let's break this down into something that's just kind of a summary, a little bit easier to understand. So there you're seeing again, the damaging wind is still the highest threat on the scale that I've got for you guys. It's a level 4 out of 5 risk. Hail is still the lowest. However, as storms initially get going on both sides of the river before they can merge into some kind of a line, that's where the hail risk is going to be. It's when those storms first start developing, and that could potentially be beyond golf ball size. Damaging wind threat again is the highest, then hail, then we go to tornadoes, as you see there, almost at a level 4 out of 5 risk. It's very close. So we did see a little bit of an uptick, I should say, in the tornado potential versus yesterday. So just wanted to make you aware of that. But why are we so concerned about the threat for damaging wind? Well, I want to show you in this next graphic just how strong the winds are aloft above the ground. So I'm going to put future track into motion. I'm going to stop it right here as the storms are moving through the Quad Cities, at least the second round. That's pretty much been a guarantee at this point. So I want you to notice that winds here at the ground are only 20 miles per hour. This is before the storms arrive, but you go 5,000 feet up, 53 miles an hour, go up another 5,000 feet, nearly 90 miles an hour, and then you go up even further, and they're more than 100 miles per hour. So remember, the thunderstorms can grow to be as tall as 50 to 60,000 feet into the atmosphere, that high. What they can do, some of these, if they get strong enough, is they can tap into that really, really strong wind that is howling up there. And they can attempt to bring that wind right down here to the ground. So we're easily talking about 70 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts that are going to be likely with some of these storms. And I was telling folks this morning, I was like, we're not going to get out of this without some sort of damage being somewhere, whether it's from wind or whether it's from a tornado. Now, the only thing about storms coming through this time of year with this kind of wind is you have to remember our trees have not yet produced leaves. That is one kind of small saving grace. It doesn't mean we're going to prevent widespread damage, but the damage could certainly be a lot worse if the trees had leaves on them, because that's more surface area that this wind could grab hold of and cause a lot more damage. So at least, if you want to think of something on the positive side, we don't have leaves on the trees yet. Okay, so that's one good thing that we're looking at. But still, with the fact that you've got winds of over 100 miles per hour, 18,000 feet above, and these storms can grow taller than that and latch onto that wind and bring it down to the ground, that's some serious stuff. So you may see us in our coverage this afternoon once we get going. If we notice that winds are getting past, say 80, 90 miles per hour, we are going to tell you to take this precaution as a tornado type situation where we want you underground, because those kind of straight line winds are certainly nothing to mess with. We've seen that with the derecho. Is this going to be a derecho? Impossible to tell this far in advance. I want to remind you the time of the year, though. It's not summer. We don't have this deep amount of moisture in this extremely high storm energy like we do during the summer to get those powerful derechos to come through. So that's one difference. I don't think we're looking at that, but certainly the threat for some damaging winds is really, really high as we go through this particular event. So let's go through Future Track and see what it holds here. So it does have a couple of scattered showers going for us at times. Our in-house model just recently in the last few runs started locking on to this potential here. And this is that first round I was talking about. As that wave of energy that's currently near Kansas City tries to work up here, it sparks these scattered supercell-like thunderstorms. And that's what you're seeing north of Galesburg. This is 2 o'clock. So that's why I've moved our timetable up to 1 in terms of getting these storms started. But I want you to see the evolution of this storm. And it's the fact that Future Track is kind of latching onto this possibility. You're noticing the storm itself on the Illinois side, it's got that hook shape. So that's telling me that, yeah, the threat for tornadoes is certainly there. This particular storm wants to go up towards Sterling Rock Falls. Now, a disclaimer, this is not a guarantee as to what's going to happen. This is a possibility. This is a forecast in terms of what could happen. But it does appear that at least by, say, 2, 3 o'clock, things are going to start cooking around here from southwest to northeast. So by this time, as we get to 4 or 5 o'clock, that's when that second round comes in. And there you see it, west of Muscatine, Burlington, Monticello. And notice it hasn't formed a solid line yet. So these are still individual supercells that are going to have the probability of producing large hail, damaging winds, and also some tornadoes at times. Those race into the Quad Cities between 4 this afternoon and 6 o'clock this evening. There you see them there, right on top of us, about 5. And then they will head for the Illinois side of the river between 5 and 7. By 7 o'clock, I think we're going to be able to call the all clear. The threat will be out of here. And then for the rest of tonight, it's clouds coming in, strong wind gusts. There's a wind advisory, by the way, until 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, because we could see gusts top 50 miles an hour. By the way, cold enough air tonight, little lobe of energy trying to come in. We could have some snow showers tomorrow morning. So, yeah, it is the wild weather in the Midwest for sure, no doubt about that. So I want to go through this timeline really quickly and also remind you, too, what the difference is between a watch and a warning. We talked about this on GMQC this morning. A watch means the ingredients are there. They're readily available. They just need to be combined to produce something. It's when you have a warning, that's when you take all your ingredients and you make what you were going to create. In this case, it's a cupcake. So that's the easiest way to differentiate between a watch and a warning. We are likely going to have some sort of a watch. I wouldn't be surprised if the watch itself was included with the wording that said this is a particularly dangerous situation. A PDS tornado watch is certainly possible for us here. Wouldn't surprise me at all. We'll see what the Storm Prediction Center thinks and wants to do about that. But we could see that as early as 3-4 hours from now. Here's the time frame. We've already talked about the 8 o'clock update. That's what we're talking about right now from the Storm Prediction Center. Right now we're also doing our Facebook Live. So the next update that we're going to get from the Storm Prediction Center comes our way at 11:30. Meteorologist Morgan Strackbein will be in for me for the 11 o'clock newscast. She will likely have that if it comes out on time and be able to relay that information to you. 3 o'clock is when we're expecting that rapid storm development to the south and to the west. That's when your alert level needs to go up, and make sure you're paying attention to what's going on around you. Your checklist today, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. It should include knowing your family's communication plan, especially if you're not going to be together during this event in case cell phones will go down. Do you have a central meeting place where you can go to reunite yourselves with them? Know where you're going to take shelter, whether it's in your house, whether it's at work or school. Be ready to take action quick because these storms are going to be moving at about 50 to 70 miles per hour. That doesn't leave you a lot of time to react. Don't rely on outdoor storm sirens. Those are only for folks that are outside. They're not meant to be heard inside your home. So, for example, if you're under a tornado warning, you're like, I don't hear the siren, I'm not going to take shelter. Don't grab that kind of an attitude. That's not what the storm warning sirens are for. Don't rely on just that. You have multiple ways to get warnings, whether it's us on TV, here on our WQAD.com and our social media pages, or the News 8 app, the Storm Track 8 app as well. Do you live in a mobile home? If you do, today is not the day to be sheltering there, just because we have the potential for stronger tornadoes. EF2 or greater in intensity is on the table for us today. it's best if you can, if you've got a friend or a family member that you can go to, whether it's their residence, their house, if you can do that, that's best, and shelter with them. If you can't do that and you're able to travel, you're not disabled and you can drive, even a better idea if you can go to a public building that's open, that is really substantially sturdy, like a library that's made of cinder block and other very sturdy materials, even a shopping center like a brick and mortar store. It's absolutely better than nothing, folks. I know it sounds silly, but we've had people ask this morning, what do I do if I have nowhere else to go and I'm in a mobile home? I would be out of there well in advance of before these storms arrive. So when we get the watch issued, if you're in a mobile home today, that's your time to move. Stay with a friend, stay with a relative until about 7 o'clock tonight, then you can go back. But today is not the place to be in a mobile home, that is for sure. Now, if you have no other option, if you're stuck there, you have no transportation, maybe you're disabled and you have no other option, you cannot move from that spot, your best bet is going to be an interior room in that mobile home, away from windows. If you have a bathtub, that's even better, if you can get into it if possible. If you can't, what I want you to do is take as many blankets and pillows as you can, get yourself in that interior room, and just surround yourself with all of that. Cover up as much of yourself as you can. Now, don't suffocate yourself, obviously, but you need to do all of that just to prepare yourself. It's better than nothing. It really is. So take that advice, if you will, and hopefully, again, you have a way to get substantial shelter. There's a reminder of shelter, by the way, for your home. Best is basement. Basement is best, as we say. If you can't do that, it's the interior room, right smack dab in the middle of your home, where you don't have any of those outside walls connecting. Never go to the garage. Don't go to the second level. Obviously, you're not going to be swimming. Don't do that. We say, though, never go to the garage. The garage door is the weakest point of your home. If your home gets hit by a tornado, the garage door is going to be the first thing to go. And then that opens up the home to the rest of the damaging effects of the tornado. The wind, the roof goes next. It's not a pretty sight. So that's why we want you in the basement or in that interior room. That's exactly where you need to be as we go through the storm situation today. So again, to reiterate, the possibility does exist for 2 rounds of storms. Round 1, developing right now, or trying to develop anyway, south of Kansas City. I'm going to load the radar back up, and I'll see if I can get my little pointer on the screen here. So there's round 1. It's trying to develop here south of Kansas City. It's racing northeastward again. That's mainly an Illinois threat between 1 and 3 o'clock this afternoon. If this fizzles out, we could still see the energy from that migrate its way northeastward and spawn some new stuff right overhead. Round 2 is going to be developing out here, just east of Des Moines, and then it's going to race itself east-northeastward and really impact, I think, the majority of us. So while not all of us will see round 1, round 2, certainly all of us are going to see that. That is expected to kick off after 2 o'clock in Iowa and then race east. Both of these will have a wind and tornado threat because of the wind dynamics that are in place today. It is just downright impressive. The wind factor we have going on. And that's why it's not one of those days where I would typically say, hey, if it stays cloudy, you can let your guard down because we're probably not going to get severe weather. It's choked it off. But we have such strong what we call wind shear today that you don't need a ton of storm energy to get something to happen. So that's why we're treating this differently than we would say about a month or 2 from now when dynamics and things get a little bit different. So that's what we've got going on right now. So I'm going to start, as I did yesterday, we'll start with our YouTube feed, those questions. I'll go to our Facebook Live, the WQAD page for those questions, and then I'll go to my personal page, and then we'll wrap things up and get ready for the 11 o'clock newscast. Again, folks, we got you covered. We will be on air, online. It's team coverage all day. And we're going to get you through this. There's no reason to be panicking or scared. That's only for people that don't prepare for these things. If you're prepared, if you've got a plan, you know where you're going to go and what you're going to do, piece of cake. We're going to make it through this just fine. All right, so we're going to start with the YouTube folks. Thanks for joining me again. We got a good crowd on here today. We've got Alexandria asking, she has to leave to go on the highway to get to Peoria around 12. Do you think it would be safe? It's a 35-minute drive. If you're leaving from here in the Quad Cities, I think you're going to make it okay. Even if you're southeast of the Quad Cities, by then we don't have the storms in here quite yet. That's more after a 2 o'clock type scenario. Lev was wondering about the threat in Des Moines. Des Moines is right on the edge of the 3-4 risk. I would say, though, you're more of a 3 just based on I see storm development taking off to your east today. Twisted Mistress is wondering about Davenport. Davenport definitely included on all of this risk, including tornadoes. Need to watch out for that. Not so much for round 1. That's an Illinois thing. But round 2 definitely looks pretty nasty. You're welcome, Haley. We have another one flying into Des Moines tonight from Florida, set to land at 9:55. You'll be clear. Good to go. Watch for some turbulence, though. We've got a wind advisory, wind gust topping 50 miles per hour. Doreen, good morning. How severe for Galesburg? Galesburg is definitely included in that risk, as I said earlier. Everybody under the threat for that. Let me put that graphic up so you guys can see, because it's nice. It's got the looping radar and all the threats and the timing and all that for you while I'm answering this question. I have a question about enabling alerts. So that is very simple to do. If you've got the News 8 app, or better yet, the Storm Track 8 app, I'm going to pull up the News 8 app, for example, so you guys can see this. Once I get it open in my folder. There we go. So on the News 8 app, of course, you're going to open it up and you see this lovely screen here. Once the home screen comes up, there we go. I need to get a real-time image. So what you're going to do is there's a gear icon up here in the top corner underneath your clock and your battery. If you're on an iPhone, it's probably the same for Android, I'd imagine. You're going to hit the gear and you're going to see the second option says notifications. You're going to go notification settings, and then you're going to go to weather. It says severe weather alerts. And you're going to make sure all of these are check marked and clicked on. If you've got that done, then you're going to get the alerts and the notifications. I will say the Storm Track 8 app is the first app that gives me a notification of a warning. I get that on there before the weather radio goes off and before I even see it on our system. So the Storm Track 8 app really is the fastest way compared to the News 8 app if you're really looking for speed of warnings, that is. It's pretty darn quick. Let's see. Yeah, thanks, Haley, for helping out there. You're welcome, Mandy. Hi, Sarah. How unusual is it for our area to have a level 4 risk of storms? It's unusual. You may only get this twice, maybe 3 times a year at most. So very unusual, and again, they mean business when they put this out. They don't just, put these out and throw them out like candy. They have to decide a lot when they're going to put a risk this high out, because you don't want to cry wolf. I mean, 4 out of 5 is like screaming wolf at this point. We don't want folks to go in the future thinking, oh, it was a 4 out of 5 last time and nothing happened. It's not going to happen again. That's kind of the thought process that goes in there. Let's see. What are the chances of an EF4 or EF5 in Davenport? I'm not counting on that right now. I'm not going to say it's 0, but I don't think it's a high chance to see that. Maggie, good question, though. What are the chances from Joe that the power is going to go out today? Very likely, especially for areas that get the strong winds. The good thing, as I said earlier, though, is that we don't have leaves on the trees yet. That's going to help a little bit. Ron is wondering what direction the wind will be blowing when the storms come in. That's going to be a west wind, south and southwest wind. Casey says the Weather Channel's given us a 7 on the Torcon. I believe it. That's why we have a threat track level 4 out of 5 today. Beth says she'll be at work in Sterling with no basement there. Do you think we'll lose power? Yeah, if you do get a good-sized storm through there, it's a good bet you'll lose power. If you don't have a basement, again, interior room away from windows is going to be your best bet. Somebody from Louisville, Kentucky. Wow. Well, unfortunately, I don't cover the Louisville, Kentucky weather. I think we have a TEGDA affiliate down there, but there's the map for you. I can zoom it in a little bit if you want to show you. But yeah, most of Kentucky is definitely in the risk for severe weather today, that's for sure. So check it with your local affiliate. They'll be able to give you a more in-depth answer for that one there. Jeremy's wondering about the possibility of power outages in Galesburg. I used to have, and I'm probably not going to be able to find it, because anytime I want to find this stuff on demand, I have absolutely no luck whatsoever. Which, that's just the luck of the draw. Future Track does give us the ability to there it is. Bear with me. To see what the power outage index is, if you will. I'm going to see if I can drag this into my show. Give me 1 second here, guys. I don't know how much I would really put into this, because this is what we call an experimental product. But it's kind of interesting to look at. So I'm going to change the timetable on this really quickly, because it's trying to put us out a week, and there's no way it's going to give me a week's worth of power outage probabilities. So let's scoot the clock forward. Is it showing anything? Yeah, it's so this is, again, it's what we call an experimental product. It's not quite ready for prime time yet. I don't even see anything on there. Yeah. I don't think it's getting any data. It was a good try. We tried. I don't see anything on there. So we will. Oh, there you go. It was just doing something as I was getting ready to change it. Anyway, I think power outages are certainly possible. I don't want to waste too much time on trying to get that darn thing to work. Power banks through your phone are a good thing. Some TV stations are saying 12 to 1. I'm going with 1 to 3. I'm going to put it back a little bit further there. Let's see. I think that's most of them. Madeline, Des Moines will probably lose power too. Nicholas, the storms first thing this morning could certainly zap some of the power, but I think there will still be enough left over for storms to come in this evening, giving the wind shear and some of the other dynamics coming in here too. So I'm going to switch over quickly to the Facebook live stream. Let's see what we've got going on there. Let me put the threat risks back up there and the future track in motion. Hi, James Zahara. Welcome to work.
Gonna be a fun day.
Oh my goodness, yes. We're ready for you though. We're ready. We've got Charisse watching from Wyandotte. We've got Dan, go to the stores now, buy your food and flashlight. You should have done that yesterday. Remember, guys? That was on our list yesterday.
Yeah.
If you need to do it today, though, that's okay.
Can I mention one thing?
Go.
I already got a couple of people on this on Ring Central for me. That if you are an elderly, handicapped, and confined to a wheelchair but don't have a basement, then I would suggest that you find a friend so they can assist you. I'm already getting a few calls on that already. So find a friend that can assist you to get to a safe place.
Very good advice. And because we can't forget there's people that are homebound and they don't have the ability to do that. So if you can get a friend, family member to pick you up, take you into their shelter, that would be even better. Good advice. Let's see. Yeah, there's been a couple of early dismissals for schools. You can find those at WQED.com in the app. Yep, the Hawkeye game is tonight. I know. They've already canceled the party because of the weather coming in here, too. Mary, we could have a little bit of sun that could come out very first thing this afternoon to kind of enhance the storms. We're going to see what happens with that. Cambridge, you have threat number 1 coming between 1 and 3 o'clock this afternoon. Round number 2 between 5 and 6. Moline, this is going to be between 4 and 6 for us here. Kewanee, same as Cambridge. Threat number 1 is between 1 and 3. Threat number 2 is between 5 and 7. Bettendorf, same timing again, 4 to 6 this evening. Kewanee is in that risk. Yes, 4 out of 5. We're saying for Kewanee, 5 to 7. Peru is also included in that threat track level 4 out of 5. Timing is after 5 o'clock. Yes, DeWitt, you do have the potential to see some nasty storms in your area too, including the threat for tornadoes, especially after 4 o'clock. Tina saying Wilton just announced that Wilton schools are getting let out early. Not surprised. We're seeing many of them getting added to the list here. There's a question on dew points. So what I'm going to do is show you what those look like here. Give me 1 second, because there is some good moisture getting ready to move in. I mean, these dew points have been climbing all morning long. We started out in the 40s. And now we're working our way into the 50s and probably 60s here really shortly. So there's the moisture where you're seeing the green is easily 50 plus. Darker green is going to be 60 plus. We may be awfully close to 60-degree dew points today, but that is something to certainly watch. A lot of moisture streaming our way right now. That's what we're looking at. Peru is going to be after 5 o'clock, easily. Muscatine is between 4 and 6. Burlington to Monmouth is after 4 o'clock for the storms to hit there. Power losses today, guys. Again, remember the one silver lining about storms coming through this early in the year is we don't have leaves on the trees yet. That doesn't mean you're not going to see tree damage. There could still be power outages with these storms, and likely especially if we end up getting these strong winds. That's going to be the main factor. And wouldn't you know it, my Facebook page is not going to let me pick up my own stream. Darn thing. So I'm going to have to answer those questions via the keyboard here as soon as we get done here. But again, just to reiterate the times you want to be watching for, there's a couple of different things. One, We watch what happens with these storms south of Kansas City. That energy could race up here, promote storms between 1 and 3. Round 1, primarily on the Illinois side of the river. Round 2 is what develops east of Des Moines. That's the one that sweeps the entire area a little bit later, after 3 o'clock or so. That will also have the threat for tornadoes and the like. So I'm going to wrap up our live here because I got through all the questions. I'll have to check back with my page in a minute. But we got this for you. We're all here. We're going to track the storms as they come in. We've got meteorologist Morgan Strackbine and the Beast. We've got James dancing over there. He's pumped up. He's ready to go. We're going to get you through this, guys. As long as you have your plan, that's all it takes. You're going to make it. We'll get you through this. And hopefully no damage, hopefully no injuries. That's what we want. That's our goal here for today. So whether you're on air, online, News 8 app, if you're streaming us on Roku, coverage will be in all of those places today. And of course, we're going to get started with that as soon as it's necessary. So stick with us, and we'll get you through today's storms. Have a plan. Be ready to go this afternoon. We'll see you in a bit.
Thank you.
We got it.